Okay, the first thing I do is I buy a pack like this, and I don't really care about the weight. I'm just going to cook it all up at one time. It usually lasts me about 2 or 3 days. I'm going to cut off the fat that's on the outsides, and I also cut out this section right here, must be like inside the wing. Sometimes there will be little bones right in here. You gotta kind of feel around for them. The reason that I cut these up in this scrap up in small pieces is because my kids and grandkids, 5 of my 10 grandkids live up there, and they have about 60 egg birds. And as weird as it is, chickens eat chicken. I had chickens growing up, and I had no idea that chickens would eat chicken meat, but I can throw salad out there and they don't really care about it. If I throw chicken out there, they are grabbing it, running like crazy, and trying to keep away from whoever is the bully that wants the chicken more than they do. It's pretty comical. But yeah, I just cut it in smaller pieces so that more of them can actually get to it. And then just trim all this up. That way, sometimes there'll be like blood right in there. I don't want to eat the tendon. I'm just trying to make a tasty meal. The thing about bodybuilding type of diets, so if you're doing your meal prep, and this will last me until partway through the week, if you're doing your meal prep and you don't like the food that you are having to eat, then you're not going to stay on that plan. And so you need to find something that is tasty for you. And I need to take this knife out and sharpen it again. So that will be on the docket, but I sharpen my own knives. So I'm going to cut all this off and again, feed the scraps to the scraps of the chicken meat to the chickens, and I'll show you step by step what I do. But you can break my recipe all you want. I'd love to hear how you do it versus how I do it, because I'm up for learning a better way. But you're going to see very shortly. I'm going to make some noise. This one's got a little piece of bone in there. I can feel it. So I'm going to make sure I cut that off. There's kind of nothing, maybe there's stuff that's worse, but I don't really like eating any kind of meat and then finding a little surprise piece of bone in there. That's really irritating to me. Okay, so I've got the 5 chicken breasts cleaned up, and then I use the flat side. So there's 2 sides of this meat hammer. I use the flat side. And, like the chicken breast is fat on one end. Sometimes I've cut that in half. Most of the time, I just pound the whole thing out like this to make it really close to even thickness all the way across. Otherwise, you're going to have one end of the chicken breast that gets done way sooner than the other. Probably loud in the video. Maybe we'll adjust the volume here when we figure this out. So again, just smash it down so it's close to the same thickness, and then I'll show you what the next step is. And so this is 4 minutes thus far. It probably took me maybe 2 minutes to get all the supplies out. It would not have taken me as long as if I had my knife a little sharper. I like to be really sharp. Okay, so it's all pounded out. Then what I do is on the plate, I use this. You can use whatever you want, and this is extra virgin olive oil. You can use no olive oil, but it browns a lot nicer if you just put a little bit on there. So I just put a little tiny bit on there. This is maybe, I don't know, half a teaspoon, and then I sprinkle this on there and then rub it around. Flip it over. Do the same thing on the other side, and this will be the same on all 5 chicken breasts. Now, I turned my grill on before I started, so the grill is heating up. I like it to be pretty toasty when I first start grilling it, so it makes some nice grill marks. Although I mean, it's not really necessary, but I always cut it up as soon as it's done. And so the grill marks probably make no difference whatsoever, except in my brain. So again, just putting a little of this on here, putting this Traeger salt on there, a little more here. And then it's going to be ready to throw on the grill, and I will take you out and show you what I do for that. Okay, I've got my thermometer, digital thermometer, and this, you can see, is straight up, so it's about 400 degrees. I only use 3 of the 4 burners, and then I throw it on presentation side, which is the smooth side of the chicken breast. I put that side on first, and so I'll talk you through what I do. I think that I always close this lid. So I think that the main thing that makes this really good is that I use this digital thermometer. It's just a cheap Amazon one. It was probably, I don't know, $6 or $7. And I will make sure that I pull all of the breast off at 155. Now, doneness for chicken is 165, so I'm taking it out prematurely. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off at 155, put it back on my plate, take the plate in, and I cover it up with a piece of tin foil, aluminum foil, so that it's resting for at least 10 minutes. And then I'll show you what that looks like as we go along. Okay, it's been about 3 or 4 minutes. See how nice and pretty that looks? I'll rotate these because this side is a little hotter than the other side. So you can see this one isn't quite as done. So I'll put this one over here and this one over here in hopes that they get done close to the same time. In the meantime, while I was letting this cook, I went in and did a little kitchen cleanup. And so I'll put the lid back down again and let this cook a little more. They're still cold inside, so there's no need to temp check them right now. Okay, and while the chicken is cooking, I am going to put an edge on this real quick. I got this little sharpener. It's really for scissors for like the barbershop uses. But my dad gave it to me when he was getting ready to have a promotion up to heaven. He's like, I'm not going to need this anymore. And so this is a diamond wheel. You got to be pretty quick with it, but it's that's enough. That's enough to get it sharp. Here's my messy little shed. Okay, I told you what I do with the scrap chicken. Here's some of the chickens. I don't know where they all are. They're not named, but I try to throw it out into the pen a little bit, and you'll see that they're pretty excited about eating their relatives, as it were. There's some coming out of the house there. Yeah, I don't know if you, maybe I'm the only one that didn't know that chickens eat chicken, but I was pretty surprised, and you can see they really like it. I can almost call them up to me when they're when I'm bringing the chicken. They've got a pretty big pen here. Okay, they've been on probably for 5 minutes or so. And so here's what I do. I just check the temp. So this is at that's 155 on that end. I just go down. So that one is done. This one was over here to start with. So I'm just checking for 155. Most people overcook chicken because they're terrified that they're gonna get salmonella, and I'm not one of those people to be terrified that I'm gonna get salmonella. So that's why I pull it off at 155, because then it's really juicy, especially if you tent it. So these are all getting close. They cook faster than I thought they were going to be. So they're a little more done than I would normally have them. This is at 151. This one is the last one to get done. So again, I'll just take them and get them as close to 155 as I can, and then I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do here as soon as I pull them off. Okay, these are really close to being ready. Some of the spots on the breast are a little more done than others, but they're all getting really close to 155 or over. So I'm going to pull those, and while I was doing that, I actually went into my shed and sharpened my knife. So we'll have a sharp knife when we cut this up. Okay, I'm bringing the chicken in, and I'm going to set it on the cutting board like that on the plate. And then I'm going to take a piece of foil. These are the baked potato sheets, so you don't have to cut them down. And I'm just going to put this tent over it just like this for at least 10 minutes. And what's going to happen there is this is going to sweat off some juice, and I'll show you what I do with that juice, because I'm gonna use that too. So you'll see all this. Okay, the chicken is resting nicely, and I'm going to show you what I do, but here are the sauces that I use. So this Flavor Gang sauce is, this is the one that I like the most, the chipotle aioli, and it's 35 calories per tablespoon. But let me show you what I do. So I'm going to take the juice that's coming off of here and pour it into there, and then into there. And then I'm going to pour that juice into this container. And then I'll fill most of the rest of it up with this Ray's no sugar added barbecue sauce. And then top it off with maybe a tablespoon or so of sriracha sauce. And then I just shake that up. And that is my sauce that I use for everything. Flavor Gang is a great sauce. It's not super high in calories, but it's really flavorful. But it's also $15 for this 16 fluid ounce, and then they have freight on top of it. And so what I do is I probably use about maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons of this, and then I fill the rest of the containers up with this juice and that over the time. Okay, and then what I do is I pretty much cut it the same way every single time. Oops, I don't want to cut on that side of the board. So I will cut it in half and then cut it in 3, 4, 5 rows here, and then chop it up in just little cubes. And then throw this in my glass. I don't know if they're Tupperware or not. They have kind of a Tupperware type lid like that. So I'll cut those up. And that is my storage for the fridge, not storage for taking to work. Then what I do for taking to work, so I'll cut all this up. So on the work side, for meal prep, so I'm prepping for tomorrow's meals, and I know I'm going to be at the office for a couple of these meals at least. So I'll weigh this with my scale, and I'll put 225 grams in there. I will actually weigh it to the gram. I mean, if it's 223, I don't really care, but I'll get it really close to 225 grams. And then I will put my sauce on it, put a lid on it, and take that into work. I already know that these containers weigh 20 grams, so I need to get to, so I've got 224 grams in there. And then what I'll do is I'll take this sauce that I just shook up, and it gets a little thinner with the chicken juice runoff, but I'll just put some of that sauce in there. It's a lot lower calorie than the Flavor Gang is because we mixed it with those sugar-free options. So you can get a little more sauce on there without having a big caloric load. A lot of people end up putting a lot of calories on their food from their sauces. So, I mean, you think about like a salad at Panera. Some of those salads, or the Asian restaurant that I like to go to, I can't remember what the name is. Anyway, some of those salads are 2,000 calories, and it's mostly because of the sauce. So you gotta be super careful with your sauces, or you end up blowing your food budget, quotation marks, out of the water just by sauce. But this is almost 0 calories because of how little of the Flavor Gang is in there. Okay, so we started with 5 chicken breasts and pounded them all out, cleaned them up, grilled them, let them rest. Here's my containers that will stay in the fridge, and here are my containers that will go with me to lunch, and there is my favorite sauce. So you've got all the ingredients. My knife is now resharpened, the cutting board is put away and is all cleaned up back there. And food scale, if you're gonna meal prep, you need to have a food scale. You need to weigh and measure and track your food, because if you don't, you have no idea what you've got. So there's my Sunday quick afternoon, maybe took a total of a half an hour.